Hello class, we are beginning with the new chapter, that is the ninth chapter, depository system. Okay, let us start with the introduction part. Securities are held in the two mode. Normally securities we can say shares ho sakte, debentures, bonds, uh, so many things that has been issued by the company. We all those things that has been issued by the company, we called it by a one term called securities. So securities can be issued in the two form. Mostly the securities were issued in the physical form, and now the securities are issued in an electronic form. We could also call it as a dematerialized form. Okay, a physical mode of handling the security. It means securities are held in the form of paper certificate. Okay, so when we call the securities are held in the physical form, it means securities are held in a paper form. Okay, that is in a physical form. There are so many limitations were there, so many disadvantages were there when the securities were held in the physical form. Let us see those difficulties and disadvantages. First one, risk. Certificate of paper can be lost, damaged, torn, stolen, misplaced during the transit. So these were the things which could happen during the transit when the share certificate has been made and it has been allotted by the company to the investor, and during that transit period these many things could be happen which could be a loss for the investor and also for the company. The second one, efforts in duplicating. Obtaining duplicate certificates if original certificate is lost involves time, effort and money. So again, if the certificate is lost in transit, then a person, the investor, have to again apply for a duplicate certificate. Okay, when he apply for the duplicate certificate, lot of time is been involved over there, lot of efforts are needed, and many time money is also invested during all those procedures by following all those procedures. So this was the major drawback which was there related to the shares in the physical form. Third one, delay in allotment of securities. Allotment of new securities take longer time. So whenever the new shares or new equity shares or preference shares or debentures or bonds that has been issued by the company, it involves lots of time. Delay in transfer and transmission of securities. More time is involved in transfer and transmission of securities as it involves actual holding of physical certificates. So when the shares are held in a physical form and the bonds, debentures or other securities are held in the physical form, it involves a lot of time for the transfer and transmission of securities. Okay, the last one is a risk of bad delivery. Delivering certificate which are torn, forged, etc. creates a problem in buying and selling of securities. So we can say when the securities are delivered by one person to the another person or from the company to the investor, so many problems were occurred, and because of this reason buying and selling of securities would be a problem for the investors. So these are the, we can say, 5 problems and difficulties were there when the shares or other kind of securities were held in the physical form. The second one is an electronic form, that is in the dematerialized form, holding the securities in the soft copy. It means securities are held in an electronic or dematerialized form. Let us see the meaning of depository system. Under depository system, securities are held in an electronic form. So depository, it is like a system. We can say it is like an institution where an investor can go and open a separate account, that is called a demat account, and in demat account he can hold the shares in the electronic form. The transfer and settlement of securities are done electronically. The transfer of securities and the settlement of money related to the securities, that could be done in an electronic form. The depository system maintains accounts of the shareholder. The depository, it is like an institution. He maintains the accounts of the investors. He maintains the accounts of the shareholders, and that account is known as the demat account. It enables the transfer, collection of dividend, bonus share, etc. on behalf of the shareholder. He do so many activities, like he transfers the share, he collects the dividend if the dividend declared by the company, he collects the bonus share, he makes the payment after selling the, after purchasing the shares, he collects the payment after selling the shares. So many things have been done on the standing instruction of the shareholder. This system is also called as a scriptless trading system. This system is known as a scriptless trading system without any kind of difficulty. In India, depository system was introduced by passing the Depository Act in the year 1996. So in the year 1996, This Depository Act was passed, and after passing the Depository Act, the depository system was set up. Under this act, a competitive multi-depository system consisting of two depositories, that is NSDL and CDSL. So NSDL as well as CDSL are the two depositories, okay, which has been set up after passing the Depository Act 1996. It is a competitive multi-depository system. It not only carries the we can say it not only holds the accounts of the shareholder, but it performs many other related activities which could be beneficial for the investor. NSDL, the full form of NSDL is National Security Depository Limited, and CDSL is Central Depository Securities Limited. So NSDL and CDSL was a two institution which has been set up after passing the Depository Act 1996. It will be of interest to note that the world's first depository was set up in the year 1947 in Germany. So the first depository system was set up by Germany in the year 1947. Depository system resembles the banking system in many aspects. So we can say depository system that could act in the similar manner as the banking system is there in our country. Let us compare the depository system with the banking system. It keeps the securities safe. So in the depository system, all the securities that the investor have in his or her name, that could be kept by the depository in the safe and the secured manner. And in banking system, it keeps the money safe. So the investor here, the money of the account holder will be kept in the safest and the secured manner. The second one, securities are held in accounts having unique ID. Now here, investor have to go to the depository. He have to open an account that is called a demat account. A unique ID is been given to the investor related to the demat account, and he can maintain that account with the depository. In the banking system, funds are held in an account having a unique number. So here in banking system, the person go to the bank, he open a separate account related to the various kinds of accounts that is been offered by the bank, and he will get an account number related to it. He can do the transaction by using that account number. Third one, there is no physical handling of securities during allotment, transfer, etc. So here in the dematerialized form, here in the depository system, the physical form of handling the certificates, the physical form of transacting the certificates, that is not there. In this particular form, securities are held in the dematerialized form, and all the decisions related to the allotment, transfer, and various other decisions related to the securities would be taken in the electronic form. There is no physical of handling of money. In the banking system also, physical handling of money is not there, because if you draw the check, if you make the demand draft, if you use any other method, internet banking, online banking, okay, so the transaction could be done by using all those methods. The fourth one, transfer of securities between account is done. So the people, those who are having an account with the depository, if they wanted to settle down the transaction related to the security, they can do so, and the settlement would be taken place at the same time. And here in the banking system, the transfer of funds between the account is done. So if the person is having an account in a different bank or in the same bank, person can transfer the funds, person can get the funds, they can have the settlement of transaction between them. In the depository system, the depository is a custodian of securities in electronic form. In the depository system, securities are held in an electronic form, and depository is the custodian of those securities. The depository participant act as a link between the depository and the investor. So here, depository will have one person called depository participant. He will be in between the depository and the depository. He will be in between the depository and the investor, and he will make a contact to the investor on behalf of the depository, and whatever the instructions are there from the investor, he will pass on to the depository, and smooth settlement will take place. Now let us see the importance of depository system. Depository system has very important role to play in the successful functioning of the capital market. Let us see that one by one. It aims at eliminating the huge volume of paperwork involved paper or script based system. So here, first and foremost, in the depository system, before this system was there in the capital market in India, before this system there are lots of paperwork was involved in handling the shares and securities in the physical form. So lots of paperwork are need to be done, lots of data need to be maintained, records are accordingly generated. But when the depository system came to India, all those paperwork has been eliminated. All those things, whatever was done earlier, that was not need to be followed now. The second one, it offers the scope of paperless trading by using the state of art technology. Normally here the technology that has been used in the depository system, that was up to date, that was very efficient in nature, and accordingly the paperless trading system could be possible in the depository system. Third one, it leads to eliminate of storage and handling of certificate. So the third important thing that came into an existence with the help of depository system is that it eliminates the storage of lots of certificates. Okay, so now the certificates not need to be printed by the company, it not need to be handed by the company, not need to be transferred by the company. The company can intimate to the depository, and depository accordingly credit the account of the investor according to the number of shares held by him from the company. Fourth one, it reduces the cost and effort involved in storage and handling of physical certificate. So storage and handling of physical certificate, whatever the cost that the person have to incur and the efforts that he have to put, that is been eliminated under the depository system. So these are the four advantages, these are the four benefits that the depository system have on the part of the investor as well as to the company. Let us see the next one, that is the benefits and the advantages of the depository system. The first benefits and that the depository system have, we are going to see with respect to the investor. First one, elimination of risk. All risk associated with a physical certificate like delay, lost, theft, mutilation, bad delivery, etc. totally eliminated. So when the physical form of share certificates were there, when the physical form of handling the securities were there, all those things were related to it. All those things are related to it, like delay हो सकता है, lost maybe loss of certificate could be there in transit, theft हो सकता है, चोरी हो सकती है, mutilation जानबूझ कर फट सकता है, bad delivery may you can say, this could be there, and all those elimination is been all those risk that is there related to the securities in the physical form, that has been eliminated. All those risks are eliminated in the depository system. Safety, it is the most safe and the secure way of holding the securities. So securities held in an electronic form, securities held in the dematerialized form is one of the most safest way of holding the securities. The entire system functions under the Depository Act and it has been monitored by the SEBI. So the entire depository was functioning by the Depository Act and it has been monitored by the SEBI, that is the Securities and Exchange Board of India, and various decisions related to the securities is being taken place by the investor, and that will be same informed to the depository, and depository will follow the instruction of the investor accordingly. Example, the investor can keep his account in a freeze and the lock mode to avoid or prevent unexpected debit and credit. So this could be possible by the investor or both by giving the instruction to the depository. So depository participant will get the instruction from the investor, and accordingly the depository will do the things as per the instruction of the investor. Third one is a safety, easy transfer of share. A, efforts in filing the transfer form and lodging the document is eliminated. In the physical form, when the securities were there, the investor need to fill a form and he have to submit that form to the company, whereas the company can take the decision related to the transfer of shares. Okay, so this was the thing that has been eliminated. Okay, also the stamp duty levied on the transfer of physical share is not applicable. So when the physical form of certificate was there and when it was need to be transferred from one person to the another person, then certain stamp duty has been levied on that transfer of share. So under the physical form this was levied, but in the electronic form of transfer of certificate, that has been eliminated. The third one, processing time in transfer of securities is reduced and neither the securities nor the cash is held up unnecessarily longer period of time. So So before the repository system, when the physical transfer of share certificate has been transfer of shares have been taken place, in that particular manner, when the transfer will take place, there is a long time involved in the settlement. Means when the transfer of share take place, the person need to get the money, the seller need to get the money, and when he will get the money, during that particular time duration, it was a longer time. So if I sell the share in today, then I'll get my money after 15 days. So in the physical form of share certificate, transfer of share certificate, this was there. Whereas in the electronic way of transferring the shares, the immediately the share has been transferred without giving any kind of without filling any form or without giving any kind of stamp duty. Shares can be easily transferred from one person to the another person, and at the same time, the seller of the shares will get immediately money credited into his or her account. So this was possible in the share transfer in the electronic form. Fourth one, updated and intimation. The investor is provided with the status of the holding and transacted by the DP and occasionally by the depository too. So we can say the investors, those who are having the shares in the electronic form, they will be updated after a regular interval of time by the depository participants, and on some occasions the instructions and the data need to be will be provided by the depository too. So we can say each and every time the investor are updated related to their holdings of shares in the electronic form. Fifth one, we can say security against loan. Dematerialized securities are preferred by bank and financial institution as security against loan. So dematerialized securities are held by the investor, and that will be preferred by the banks and the financial institution, and as a security, and money can be granted by the banks and the financial institution. So this is one of the advantages for the investors. The next one, no concept of lots. Previously, when the share certificates were issued in the physical form, the concept of lots were there. Okay? First lot, second lot, third lot, and all. Whereas when the shares are issued in the electronic form, then there is a concept of lots has been eliminated. The system of odd and even lots stand abolished. Okay? The market lot is one share for dematerialized securities. The seventh one is a nomination facility. Individual investor can avail of nomination facility. This simplifies the process in the event of death of the investor. So the person who is holding the share, if he feels like he is unhealthy, he is unwell, and some problem could be occur related to his or her life, then nomination could also be done by that particular person, that in case of his death, the person who has been nominated, that particular person will continue and take the decision related to the investment done by the investor in the company. Last one, automatic credit. The account of investor is automatically credited/debited in case of a change initiated by the company which impacts the security. So if the shareholder have bought the shares, if the shareholder has sold the shares, then accordingly his account will be debited and credited. This is called the corporate action. This is known as a corporate action. For example, which can be termed as a corporate action. Few examples which can be termed as a corporate actions, like payment of dividend. If the company declared the dividend and if the investor gets the dividend, then his account will be credited accordingly. Issue of bonus shares, then the account again will be credited with the number of bonus shares that he has got from the company. Offering of right issue, again the amount will be credited. Early redemption of debenture, so debenture has been redeemed, again his amount will be debited and credited accordingly. If the merger and acquisition have been taken place, then again his status related to the holding of shares with respect to the respective company, that will be debited and credited accordingly. So these were the benefits that the people can have related to the shares held in the electronic form. The next one, we can say, to the companies, up-to-date information about the investor to provide by the depository. So we can say depository will provide up-to-date information about the investor related to the company. So that is one of the better way of having the updated knowledge related to the investor of that particular company. The second one is a reduction in the cost and the effort. Cost, effort and time involved in printing, distribution of certificate in case of new issue, bonus issue, transfer issue, that will be saved. So once the shares are held in the depository system, okay, so printing the share certificate, then issuing the new share, then issuing the bonus share, the transfer of share, all those things will be held in an electronic form, which will be very simpler and smoother for the company as well as for the investor to have a track record related to the investment. The third one is a better investor company relationship. The complaints arising out of the loss of the certificate, signature differences, long lapse of time in executing requests, etc., is substantially reduced. It leads to better communication with the investor and increase the goodwill of the company. So normally when the physical share certificate was there, lots of problem could be occur. That is loss of certificate, signature differences could be there. We can say long lapse time taken by the company in execution of the request that has been made by the investor. All those problems will be substantially reduced, and in the electronic way better communication with the investor and will be taken place, and that will increase the goodwill of the company. Fourth one, international investor. Now in the depository system, the company are in a better position to raise the funds not only from the Indian investor but also from the international investor. They can list their securities in the international stock exchange, but through the depository system and the depository participant, the international investor can invest into the shares of the company easily, and all their records could be maintained in a proper manner, and accordingly the services will be provided by the company to the investor in a proper manner. So these were the benefits of depository to the company. Let us see the next concept, that is the constituents of the depository system. There are total 4 constituents of the depository system. The first one is a depository. Depository is an institution which has been set up under the Depository Act 1996. The second one is a depository participant. A depository participant is like an agent of the depository. He will deal with the investor on behalf of the depository. The third constituent is a beneficial owner. Beneficial owner means the investor who have invested into the securities, who have the account with the depository. And the fourth one is an issuer company. Issuer company is a company who issues the securities in the depository form, that is in the dematerialized form. Okay, so the depository, this was set up, this is an institution, depository participant was an agent, the beneficial owner means the investor, and the last is the issuing company, the company who have issued the securities. Let us see all 4 constituents one by one, beginning with the depository. It is an organization like a central bank where securities are held in an electronic form. So depository is like an institution, is like an organization similar to the central bank which held the securities of the investors in an electronic form. It also provides the different services related to the different transactions in such securities. So various different services are being provided by the securities related to the securities related to the securities to the investor. Okay, the third one, it is responsible for safekeeping of the investor security. So depository is responsible in keeping the safe security of the investor in an electronic form. Fourth one, there is no direct access of investor to the depository. Now here the investor of the in the securities cannot directly approach to the depository. He have to approach to the depository participant, and depository participant will convey the message of the investor to the depository, and accordingly the data will be updated and the things will be done by the depository. Fifth one, it works as a link between the company and the investor. So depository will act as a link between the investor and the company. Here some more additional information and data has been given. If you go through this additional information and data, you will have some more clarity and more understanding related to the depository in India. Let us see the second concept, that is depository participant. It is an agent of the depository. So depository participant is like an agent of the depository. DP is registered under the SEBI Act. Depository participant has been registered under the SEBI Act. It enjoys all the rights and obligations as specified under the SEBI Act, SEBI Regulation Act 1996. It is an intermediary appointed by the depository. So he will act as an intermediary, and its appointment will be done by the depository. DP act as a link between the depository and the investor. So he will be in the between the depository and the investor. All those decisions need to be taken by the depository as per the instruction there from the investor, according to that communication that will take place between the investor and the depository through the depository participants. Okay, so DP act as a link between the depository and the investor. Fifth one, it directly deals with the customer. It sends statement of accounts periodically. So depository participants have a direct contact with the customer. Frequent statements of account need to be sent by the depository to the depository participant to the investors. It functions like a securities bank. So depository participant like functioning like a securities bank, where all those data will be maintained by the depository participant related to the investment done by the investor. It facilitates dematerialization. Depository participant facilitates dematerialization. That means shares could be held in the electronic form only. 8.1, it credits the securities in the event of right issue, bonus issue, etc. So the investor's account will be credited accordingly by the depository participant if the right issue and the bonus issue has been done by the company. 9.1, it handles the instrument transfer or payouts like dividend, interest, and also if the company has paid the interest and the dividend, he will transfer the particular account according to the payment that has been made by the company. 10th one, it settles the trade electronically. So transfer and transmission of share have been taken place, and it will settle the transaction according to the things that have been taken place. Following can work as a DP. So there are following people who can work as a DP. First one, we can say financial institution can also work as a depository participant. Bank can also act as a depository participant. Approved foreign banks, those who are there in India, they can also work as a depository participant. Then custodian, that is responsible for overseeing operations of assets and funds, they can also act as a depository participant. Stock broker, they can also act as a depository participant. Then clearing corporation can also act. NBFC, that is non-banking finance company, can also act as a depository participant. The registrar to an issue or share transfer agent can also act as a depository participant. So these were the people, these are the institutions who can act as a depository participant. 12th, the DP maintain accounts of the securities of each investor. Depository participant maintain the account of each and every investors related to the company. The DP has a unique number for identification. Depository participant have a unique number of identification through which the company can get the data according to the investor related to the company, and depository participant can facilitate the statement of account by providing it to the investors. The third one is a beneficial owner. The BO, that is a beneficial owner, is the investor of the security who has availed the service of depository participant. Beneficial owner means the investor who have got the services related to the depository participant. BO, beneficial owner is entitled to all rights, benefits, and is subject to all liabilities with respect to securities held by the depository. So whatever the rights are there, that will be at par, and whatever the liabilities are there on the part of the securities that has been held by him, that will be also at par. So all the things will be at par that has been held by him, the related to the securities that is there in the depository form. The BO, that is a beneficial owner, can also be called as a client of depository and depository participant. Beneficial owner is a client of depository and also the client of depository participant. BO, that is a beneficial owner, client is required to open a demat account with the depository participant. So the person who are the investor into the securities, they need to go to the depository participant. They need to open a demat account with the depository participant for electronically holding the securities. Beneficial owner has to pay the charges to the depository participant for availing the services of the depository participant. So this is done by the investors. The next one, beneficial owner is given a unique account number in which securities are held. So we can say when he got the demat account with the depository participant, a unique number will be issued by the depository participant to the investor, and by using this account number, a unique number, the investor can have the status of his or her investment that has been done by him with respect to the company. The fourth one, we can say the issuer company. It means the company who has issued the securities in the dematerialized form. And the second one is it must be registered with the depository. So all those companies who wanted to issue the securities and the securities in the dematerialized form, they have to get themselves registered under the depository system. So these are the four constituents of the depository. These are the four constituents of the depository system. I hope that you all have understood the concept. Thank you.